إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بل هم في شك يلعبون فارتقب يوم تأتي السماء بدخان مبين يغشى الناس هذا عذاب أليم ربنا اكشف عنا العذاب إنا مؤمنون أنى لهم الذكرى وقد جاءهم رسول مبين ثم تولوا عنه وقالوا معلم مجنون إنا كاشف العذاب قليلا إنكم عائدون يوم نبطش البطشة الكبرى إنا منتقمون. So all praise belongs to Allah, Lord of the heaven and the earth, the one in whose hands are the treasures and the forces and the armies of the heavens and the earth. The one who has power over all things and all hearts and all living creatures, from whom we come and to him we are returning for our final reckoning. Peace and blessings be upon his final messenger, who came to show us the way to our Lord and to happiness and salvation in this life and in the hereafter. Amma ba'd, today is some reflection on the volcanic eruption which has been going on for weeks and months actually, and has caused so much disruption to people's way of life and to the economies of the rich countries here in the West. What do we learn? Some of the things we learn from this, because of course everything that happens is by the will of Allah and by His command. And for the believer and for the intelligent person, there is a reminder, there is dhikra in everything that they see or experience. One of the things it reminds us of is that this vast earth is one of the great signs of Allah, and it is full of the signs of Allah. And amongst those signs are the mountains, the towering mountains. Anybody who's climbed a mountain, or even a small hill, or if you've climbed up a high mountain, which probably all of us have, we will know how small we seem from near the top, and how we can see the trees and the people and the houses far below us, and how small they seem. Mountains are one of the great signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are some cities, many cities around the world, which are built on mountains or next to mountains. The ones which are next to a mountain have the mountains towering over them at night, like Dimashq for example, or many other cities. And of course the prophets of Allah, many of them received revelation on a mountain. Musa alayhi salam on Jabal Musa in Sinai in Egypt, Turi Sayna, he climbed up. It is a very high mountain. If anybody has gone there and seen it, it takes at least a couple of hours to climb. It's a high mountain, and that is where Musa alayhi salam received some of the revelation. Isa alayhi salam preached from the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. It's a smaller mountain, but it's still quite a climb. Those who've been there tell us. And of course Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam received his first revelation on Jabal Nur, on the mountain of light outside Makkah, when he was in the cave there of Ghar Hira. But beneath some of these mountains, we now know that the earth, our giant earth, inside it, it's full of hot rocks, it's full of heat. And all of this heat and energy is left over from when the earth was created, many billions of years ago, when Allah created it, along with the sun and the planet and the rest of the solar system. And all of that heat and energy which we still see coming out of the sun. Part of that is the same energy which is trapped inside the earth. And in fact the crust of the earth The thin layer on top where al-ard wal-bahr is, where the oceans and the land, all the continents and the oceans. من بعده سبعة أبحر, and it's often said 7 continents and 7 oceans. All of these lie on the outside of the earth, inside the crust. So if you went to the bottom of the ocean, and human beings now go down to the bottom of the ocean with machines and with submarines and with drilling for oil from many miles under the ocean and under the earth. And we see what happens when that oil spills. There's been a big spill. So there's all this oil gushing out into the sea. And at the bottom of the ocean is land again. It's the seabed. And then below that, it gets very hot very quickly. And then for thousands of miles, for about 4,000 miles, it's nothing but hot rocks, which actually move because of the earth spinning. And that causes a magnetic field, which we use our compasses, and we navigate using that. But that's the earth's crust, that's the outside, the land and the sea. And in fact it's thinner than an eggshell. If the earth was like an egg, the earth and the sea around it, the land and the sea on the outside, compared to the rest of the earth, is thinner than an eggshell on an egg. That's the earth on which we live. That is the earth which Allah has made our home. And by that we get an understanding of how precarious it is, how vulnerable and how fragile Allah's earth is, or the earth that He has made for us. And that's why He reminds us to look after it. The biosystems, the forests, are fragile also. And we can see what human beings have done to the earth if we don't look after it. And we cut down all the trees and we take out all the oil and gas and we burn all of the fuel. That we change the climate and we wipe out thousands of plants and animal species, which is also happening. This is Allah's fragile earth. But every so often Allah shows us these signs that this seems like terra firma, al-ard al-mustaqir, the stable earth. But every so often Allah shows us it is not so stable if He wishes. And that's why we have earthquakes. And the earthquakes are caused by the plates under the earth moving. And for them it's small movement, but it causes havoc on the surface of the earth, and tens or hundreds of thousands of people die in earthquakes every year. And for the earth that's just a small movement. And another one, of course, is the volcanic eruption, when some of this hot rock comes out through volcanoes. So these are all signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He says, وَلِلَّهِ جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. To Allah belongs the forces and the army, the forces of nature, of the heavens and of the earth. And what was significant about this last one was it caused so much disruption to something we take for granted, which is air travel. So it is one of the signs of Allah. In the last 100 years, human beings have learned to fly, and thousands of people fly every day without thinking about it. If you told anybody more than 100 years ago that thousands of people would fly around every day, fly around the world, and they would cross the world in one day and night, or less than a day and a night, they would have laughed and they said, this is impossible. Only birds fly. Human beings are not created to fly. But this is the level of aql which Allah has given the human being, to be able to invent flying machine and fly around the world. In fact, one of the first people to make a flying machine was Abbas bin Firnas in Spain. And according to one of the riwayat, one of the stories, he tried one of his flights from the top of Masjid Khutbah, from the minaret of the great Masjid in Khutbah. Actually climbed to the top there with his flying machine and took off. It was like a glider. And he glided for several hundred meters. But anyway, we have become used to all this flying.